Hey guys, I recorded the games for my match versus Kuro. This is the winner gets into the semifinals. I did not commentate over them because I wasn't really up to the task of both playing and thinking about commentating at the same time, as I don't have much practice with it. But here's some post commentary. So my decks, I have a handlock, I have a druid deck, and I have a rogue deck. Nothing particularly surprising about them. Kuro picked a druid warrior and warlock. So at this point, I need to think about which of my decks I'm going to throw in first. And I didn't think too hard about this. I just figured druid was well-rounded and I could throw it out there and not get hard countered by like anything. I'm not sure that that's the right way to go about it, but more than wanting good matchups, I was kind of wanting to scout out his decks and see what kind of stuff I was up against. Because what I didn't want was to have a difficult matchup and not know how to mulligan. This mulligan was easy, I'm just trying to get Innervate and Wild Growth, and I failed. At least I have Blood Mage Thalnos, that's going to cycle into another card. Maybe I'll draw an Innervate with it. So at this point, I'm thinking that I can either ping his face or I can play Thalnos, and I want to play Thalnos because of the card draw, because my hand is really slow and bad and I really want to draw better cards. So I value the card draw at this point more than I value the potential combo with Swipe, for example. He got a Wild Growth, so I'm pissed off. I'm sure nature will punish him for his Wild Growth. So I don't even have a single thing to do on turn 3, which is terrible. At least I have a turn 4 play. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. At least we're not playing with Dr. Boom, huh? Oh. That's not good. That's not good at all. I don't have the Black Knight in this deck. The only good draw that I had there, I think, was Keeper of the Grove to effectively deal 5 damage to it and make it lose taunt. So now I'm going to consider attacking into it with the Thalnos in the hope of drawing Keeper. But I decide that that's not a good idea. I think the odds of it are I mean, they're obviously 2 in 23, but more importantly, even drawing a Keeper isn't that good because I'm playing a 2/4, and even though it does 5 damage to the Ancient of War, it's still not very good. I kind of just want to play the Piloted Shredder anyway, which does 4 damage to the Piloted Shredder and then creates like a 3/2, for example. That's 7 damage to the Piloted to the Ancient of War, just like the Keeper of the Grove is 7 damage to the Ancient of War. And I'm not going to attack in because that forces him to either ping it off or attack it with his Ancient of War, both of which are making him not have quite so much pressure against me, which I'd be very happy about, because I am behind in this game. He had the coin, so he was behind on mana, but he got ahead on mana with the Wild Growth. So, and obviously with the Innervated Ancient of War, I'm completely on the back foot now. So that's something I'm perfectly fine with. He only played a 2/4 this turn when he had 5 mana, which I'm quite happy about. It gives me greater chances of catching up. So I think attacking at this point is pretty clear. I can't just hold back and expect something good to happen by itself. I mean, the only reasonable reason to not attack would be if I expect to draw Keeper of the Grove next turn, and I expect him to not trade into whatever I play, which is really implausible. So I attack in, and I'm rewarded by this pint-sized summoner, which lets me draw more cards. Yay. So now I'm still on the back foot, but I've got something going for me. My board is only a little bit smaller than his. It is his turn, but I have a lot of cards. Oh my god, not again. Not another one. This is going really terribly. So what do I do here? There isn't a good answer, and maybe what that means is I should just be trying to spam out as many cards from my hand as possible in the hopes of just converting my card advantage into some semblance of getting board control back. What I do instead is I wrap this for 1, and I am not sure that that's the best idea, because like I really don't need the extra card draw in terms of raw number of cards, but I feel like there are cards that would really help, and Savage Roar is one of those cards. So that means that next turn I can play Force of Nature, Savage Roar, and with the Haunted Creeper in play, that's going to be pretty effective, I think. Oh god. Another one! He just keeps having answers, but if this hits the Haunted Creeper, that's really, really good. Yes! Awesome! Alright. Alright. Ragnaros called my spider an insect, and I am correcting Ragnaros on this fact. Spiders are not insects, guys. But he's just a Fire Lord, he doesn't know better. So this is hopefully a pretty obvious play. I didn't even have to look at what my other options were because this is just so good. Alright, so now I've stabilized. He still has the first turn of being able to play out onto an empty board, but I'm up a card. So it's kind of like he went first and I'm going second, and we're starting with a bunch of extra mana and a couple extra cards, and I'm down 11 extra life. Oh no. And now he's doing even more damage to me with that charge guy. I wonder why he played it as a charge guy, so that makes me think that he's really trying to kill me right now, so I need to play defensively. What I'm worried about against a Druid, though, is Savage Roar. And the way to mitigate Savage Roar is by not letting him have too many minions on the board. I'm not convinced that he's playing Force of Nature Savage Roar, and if he is, then I'm not going to play around it because I'm in such a disadvantaged position. So I'm just assuming that he doesn't have Force of Nature, but he might have a Savage Roar, because Savage Roar is a really, really good card, even if you don't have Force of Nature. Anyway, I decided to swipe there and play Druid of the Claw instead of playing 2 Druids of the Claw, just because I wanted him to have fewer guys on the board. This way, I also have a taunt for a future turn, so that's another advantage there. And now I'm going to take advantage of that fact. This is something that I'm not sure if I thought of it specifically, but I at least could have thought of the fact that next turn I would have 10 mana again too and be able to play double 5s. Oh, that's really good for me. He's playing with cards that are really bad against me. These Sludge Belchers are good for protecting against the combo, but they're not very effective minions. Like, they're just 3/5s and then 1/2s. It's not actually good against the actual minions that Druid plays. And then Antique Healbot, healing for 3 life, is obviously really, really terrible. That could have been a much more scary card. But his deck seems teched out to beat aggro matchups, rush decks, and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty good for me. That's really allowing me to get back into the game here. So I really want to be able to make a good attack with the Druid of the Claw, and that means attacking with Loatheb and not using Keeper of the Grove to get rid of the 1/2 token. If I wanted to, I could use Keeper of the Grove to silence the other Sludge Belcher, and maybe that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to do that because it fits with my curve. So one potential other thing that I could have done here instead would be to play Shade of Naxxramas. And looking back on this turn, I'm really questioning my decision to not just play Shade of Naxxramas there. Yeah, I don't know why I played Keeper. Here, what I'm thinking about right at the start is how can I steal his Cenarius with my Sylvanas? And the answer is I can only do it if I actually attack into the Cenarius with the Sylvanas, and then it's only a 5/3, so it's not even that good. So I think what's going to happen here, if I remember right, is that I'm going to not actually trade off this Sylvanas this turn. I think it might be a turn for Force Roar again, because he's down to 1 card in hand, and he's not going to be able to do much. So I also counted up potential lethal, and I think the answer here is that I can only do 26 damage to his face, so I'm 5 short. Yes. Yep, I'm happy that I have double combo. So maybe this was on my mind last turn when I played the Keeper of the Grove. Maybe I was thinking that next turn I would want to play the combo, and so I wouldn't have any spare mana left to silence his taunt, which would be really a nice thing to do. I think that's actually what it was. I was setting up for lethal last turn with the Keeper of the Grove. So now he played Ysera, and I'm really afraid of Ysera Awakens. And unfortunately, I did not draw a Wrath, which would allow me to steal the Ysera with my Sylvanas. So... I guess I can kill the Ysera. I can't kill him. If I don't kill the Ysera, he could easily have something like Druid of the Claw Nightmare, or Swipe Nightmare, or some way to kill me immediately, and I don't want to die. I think I'm ahead at this point, so I think I'm gonna play around him getting a good card from the Ysera and just trade it off, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. And I still have the board, and my Sylvanas is gonna get pinged, which is really sad, but it's gonna do 5 damage to him. And I'll still have a 4/4 and a 4/3 on the board, so things aren't looking too bad in my opinion. And I'd rather be safe than sorry against that Ysera.
The great outdoors.
Okay, well that was a little bit questionable. He really should have drawn the card before. Oh no, right. Yeah, it's easy to say things are silly after the fact. When I was in the game, I totally understood that he was killing the Sylvanas first and then playing Keeper of the Grove, so that I didn't get a free Grove Tender with the Sylvanas' Death Rattle. But after the fact, you can overlook things like that. So he drew us cards, and I guess he had to do that because his hand is bad, but that helps me too, so that's nice. Here I don't think that he can kill me. So I'm not going to bother trying to get rid of his Laughing Sister. That just no, not Black Knight. That's a really big swing. Now he has 2 5 health guys, and I only have 2 4 attack guys. Oh my god, and he has that too? Okay, well this is good. Now I have a 5/10 and he doesn't have Black Knight anymore for sure. Unless he has like a Panda. Which is pretty much for sure. I don't think he could run Panda in that deck.
I wonder.
Okay, so now I'm gonna get out of this 10 health range pretty soon because I have a light ball now. So I'm happy to just play the 5/10 taunt and trade off, and now I can heal back up, and then next turn I can drop 2 shades, and then he's gonna die. Right? He's already played both Ancient of Wars. He doesn't have Dr. Boom. He's played a Ysera. I mean, what more can he have? That's not foreshadowing. That's like actually what my thought process was. He already played a Ragnaros too. Jeez, that is way more power stuff than I have in my deck. Unless you count the double combo as power stuff. He's obviously playing a more taunt-heavy version. I basically have a mid-range combo druid with 2 Ancient of War. The reason I brought this deck actually was I thought that without Dr. Boom, classes that have good 7 drops would have advantages, and so I brought the druid with all of its good 7 drops. Alright, so this is a play that I actually immediately thought, uh-oh, that might have been a big mistake. After I played that Shade, I realized that Mind Control Tech top deck, stealing the Ancient of War might be his only way to win this game, and I just let him do that. At this point I'm like, uh-oh, now he has 2 more draws for Mind Control Tech, and this kind of Taunt Druid does sometimes play Mind Control Tech. But he didn't get one.
Well played.
No fanfare here, just gonna end the game.
Valera versus Malfurion.
I must protect the wild.
So this is Conquest format. So my Druid's now out, and I still have to win with my Handlock deck and with my Rogue deck. And at this point, seeing his Druid, I figured that my Rogue deck was in a little bit more trouble. So I decided to play the Rogue decks next and hope to hit the good matchup, which was probably his Warlock deck. Unfortunately, he picked Druid again, so we'll just have to see how well I can do against a Druid that is completely full of taunts. I don't have a lot of practice with the Rogue deck, so I don't know exactly what I need to be doing in this specific matchup. I mean, I think I can play the deck well enough, but I don't know anything about this matchup, like what I need to hold certain cards for, or which cards are worth more than other cards, except what you can figure out just by, looking at things.
The great
Like I can tell that Fan of
outdoors.
Knives isn't as good as other things, for example. He's already got Wild Growth again, so I know I'm in trouble. But I do have Violet Teacher, which is good. So, am I going to play Violet Teacher? I have 2 of them, so I don't even really care that much if he kills one of them. I decided at this point to only play the 1 Violet Teacher and not play Coin Deadly Poison because that's not good enough to clear off his Grove Tender. It would leave the Grove Tender with 1 health, and I don't have a nice way to do 1 damage. So, if he then were to swipe my Violet Teacher and then Hero Power it down, then he'd be left with a 2-1 and I'd have a 3-1 weapon. It would kind of suck. I could alternately play the Deadly Poison, play the Coin Deadly Poison without attacking. But I decided not to do that because it seemed like one of the likely possibilities was exactly what happened here, which is that his guy's left with 1 health. So I kind of just want the 1/2 dagger instead of the 3/2 dagger. So, did he draw cards there? I didn't see whether he drew or ramped mana again. But I do have more mana than I normally would. I think he ramped mana again. So I decided to do this play, which I think puts the most minions on the board possible while still killing both of his guys. I end up using the SI7 plus Backstab to kill a 2/4, which is maybe a little bit inefficient because 2/4s are maybe better to attack with minions than a lot of the things that he plays. But I wanted to use all my mana and I wanted to get the SI7 agent onto the board, and I wanted to protect my Violet Teacher a little bit too. Unfortunately, the Violet Teacher did not make it.
I must safeguard the land.
So now I'm kind of in trouble, and maybe someone who's more experienced can tell me if I misplayed before this point, because I'm kind of out of gas here. I have a few more cards left, but I don't have any card draw. I don't have any way to generate extra 1/1s. The only creatures I have are 3/3s, so things aren't looking good. The only redeeming part here is that my opponent is down to just 1 card.
Here we go.
This guy's tough.
So because I only have the 2 minions, I really want one of them to be able to stay on the board and not die, which means I have to kill his guy, which means I want to use the SI7 agent, which is probably better in general anyway. And it means that I need to either spend a deadly poison or eviscerate. It seems like deadly poison is the clear choice there, because the eviscerate is it's adding way more damage than necessary. Okay, well that's a good card, but I think the timing's pretty inconvenient here because I have a 3/1 dagger, which means that I don't actually want to play it this turn. So it seems like what I want to do is I want to kill his Ancient of Lore, and maybe re-dagger so that I can play the Tinker Oil next turn. And there are a couple ways that I could kill his Ancient of Lore. I could attack it with the SI7 agent and hit it with the dagger. I could play Deadly Poison and hit it with a 5/1 dagger. Or I could hit it with the 3/1 dagger or the SI7 agent and then eviscerate it. And I decided that I did not want to spend the minion because I'm so low on minions, and I didn't want to spend the eviscerate because it does 4 damage all at once versus the Deadly Poison, which does 2 damage in one chunk and 2 damage in another chunk. And I don't have a Blade Flurry right now, so if I had the Blade Flurry, there might be some consideration for keeping the Deadly Poison because it's a combo. But in this case, I think keeping the Eviscerate was better. Now this doesn't look good again, because again I don't really have a great way to deal with what he put out. Like, what the hell, a 7/6? And a 3/5 taunt? It's super annoying, because the taunt kills either of my guys if they attack into it. And losing guys sucks. I don't want to lose guys. And the only way to play Eviscerate for 4 damage is if I play a Tinker Oil first, and then I have a 4/2 weapon, like, all I can do is 4 damage. And this guy has 5 health. So what I decide to do is play both Tinker Oils, just so that I can get through the taunt without wasting one of my minions, or without wasting quite so much damage. Something that I could have considered instead, which I'm now thinking might have been better, would be to eviscerate the 3/5 and then play the Tinker Oil, and that way I still kill it. And basically my hand would be as it is right now, except that I'd have a 4/1 dagger and I'd have the Tinker Oil in my hand instead of the Eviscerate. I think that probably would have been a better choice. As it is, I'm now Blade Flurrying for more than I need to. So imagine I could have a Tinker Oil in my hand right now instead of an Eviscerate, and he would be at 3 more health. I think that is a vast improvement. So I didn't quite think that through. I really should have used Eviscerate to combo the Tinker Oil. But things are looking pretty bad anyway, because he's got a 5/10 and I still haven't gotten any card draw. I haven't drawn a single Azure Drake, I haven't drawn any Sprints, I haven't drawn any Fan of Knives, I haven't drawn Blood Mage Thalnos. I have a lot of cards in here that draw, and I haven't drawn any of them. So things are not looking good. Here, I'm just going to sap to stall for time. I really need that card draw, and I'm already down to 15 life, so I think that's really the best I can do at this point, is to just play it right away. If I held it for a turn, then he would just play another minion, and then I'd have to deal with 2 guys next turn, and I'd still only be able to sap one of them. So what would I really gain from that? I don't think I would gain anything. What I really wanted to draw into was Sprint and then another sap, or like Azure Drake and sap, or something like that. Some sort of card draw, you know? Card draw is really good. So at this point, I feel very screwed.
Where shall I strike?
And I can't see any good
Where shall
outcome
I
from playing Sap now. I can't see any good outcome from holding it, but I decide to hold it. Just because, I don't know, maybe it'll help me get lethal in some crazy way.
Here
The
we
answer
go.
is it won't.
Well,
Well played.
I'll have to get lethal in a perfectly normal way.
Gul'dan versus Garrosh.
Victory or death! Your soul shall be mine!
So now his Druid is through, and I decided to play with my Warlock next, because I really think that the Rogue is the weakest, and I want to scout things out with my handlock now. I also thought that maybe I could fake him out. I was worried that he might pick the Warrior into my Rogue and be able to get out with the Warrior, and then his handlock, or his Warlock deck might be able to beat my handlock. So I thought it might fake him out to pick the Warlock deck, and I might also get some small advantage from being able to surprise him here.
To work!
He thought I might be Zoo. I'm not. In fact, I am such a clear, obvious, awesome handlock deck for my hand. Like, this is such a good hand against Warrior. And he seems unhappy with his hand against me, so this is probably going to be a very good, favorable game for me. He's getting some damage in, but that's not even necessarily good against handlock. Like, what handlock is scared about is getting cleared out in the mid game late enough that sudden Grimoire lethal is a threat. And my hand has so many things in it that are gonna put me so far ahead that it's probably not gonna get to a point where that's a problem. I played the Drake out first because it was just as good against his minions as the Giant was, and the 9 health was actually significantly better against Shield Slam, because it would mean that he had to trade off his Armor Smith, and it meant that I think just playing Shield Block, Shield Slam would have only done 8 damage, so the 9 health was good, and the 8 attack wasn't important, and this way I also get to tap on turn 5 when I play the Mountain Giant. Now he played a Loatheb, and what am I going to do here? So I kind of want to kill his armor, just in case he has more shield slams. It's also good to trade, in case he's got some removal for my Giant. Like, I don't want to play into Brawl, I also don't want to play into Execute. So if I attack his 2/2, obviously, he could just execute it, and then I would be smacking myself for not attacking his face instead. I think the real choice here is between attacking the 5/5 and attacking his face. And then there's also separately the choice of what to play. So one thing I'm considering here is playing Faceless Manipulator, because right now it's guaranteed to be an 8/8. But I don't think that's actually that good against Control Warrior. I'm happy against Control Warrior to have a Faceless in my hand, because he's probably going to be playing some good cards to copy, as well as the cards that I'm playing myself. So I don't think Faceless is going to be bad at all. In fact, if he plays Ragnaros, for example, I'll be very happy to have it in my hand. So what I ended up doing was playing sort of defensively. I didn't want to play out another one of my super awesome threats, the Giants, yet. I wanted to put up this 5/6 Ancient Watcher first, because he can't get through that with Loatheb, he can't get through it with Deathbite. It's just going to be a giant pain for him. So now I can play out my Giants one at a time behind this 5/6 taunt, and he won't really be able to do anything about it. Yeah, I'm probably going to win this game.
armor
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't think too much of it, but that might have been a warning sign that maybe he's playing like a combo warrior instead. But I don't think he's playing a combo warrior, because that's the only card draw so far. So I think it's just a slightly unusual control board list. So now, he's got the Armor Smith, and I've got a 2/1 that dies to Deathspite, but he doesn't have a good, like, weird place to put the Deathspite attack. Huh.
I wonder.
The thing is here, I have like a million options, and most of them are going to lead to me winning the game. Most of the time. So what I like the like worst case scenarios that occur to me in the game aren't necessarily going to have much bearing on what the actual best play is. I'm not sure what the best play is here. It looks like I'm going to play Sledge Belcher, and I think that's fine. I already have an 8/8 in play. I don't really need to play out another one, and those are like the most powerful cards in my deck. And I'd rather not play too much into Brawl. So if he brawls here, I probably lose the 2 taunts that I have up, but I probably get a 1/2 taunt, and that's good enough against his Deathspite 2.
I can take the hit.
With these taunts up, he still can't attack the Mountain Giant directly. And I still have more Giants in reserve in case he does have the removal for it, or if he has a Brawl or whatever. Well, I have Molten Giant and Faceless, so I could play 2 8/8s, for example. So he's at 18. He managed to armor up quite a lot last turn, so I can't kill him. But I'm probably going to attack his face anyway, right? Because he seems to really be struggling. He also seems to not have Brawl, so that's why I'm considering playing another Giant action. Like, my hand is so stacked, and I can just play the heal bot to heal up, because I've already dropped the Molten Giant, and now I can just go face. So this is the line of play that's like super safe because I heal up, and it also puts out a ton of pressure, so he like has to draw Brawl this turn, or he's probably going to lose, because I have the two Giants, and I still have 2 taunts to protect them. So it's hard to imagine losing this game after that turn. And this is obviously because I have, you know, people on board, plus the Dark Bomb, and I'm just double checking everything, counting everything up. So now we have 2 games left to play. We have my Rogue versus his Unknown Warlock deck, and we have my Rogue versus his Warrior. He chose to bring in the Warlock deck first, but it doesn't really matter. He has to win both the matches, and it doesn't matter what order he wins them in, so he potentially gains some marginal information about my deck when he's playing one of the matches that he can then use in the other match, but like realistically that's not going to matter for like a Tinker's Oil Rogue deck. Like, the lists are pretty standard. I don't think he's really thinking about that. He's just thinking about the fact that this is probably his worst matchup, and he wants to get it over with. There isn't any reward in the tournament structure for like losing 2-3 versus losing 1-3, so he doesn't have to worry about the fact that you know, if his warrior deck's a better matchup, he would choose that one first. That's not a consideration. Okay, Sense Demons. I guess I'd better get to talking about the game. So he played Sense Demons, so my immediate thought is he's probably like a handlock variant with demons, or a demon deck. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to play like cards and do damage to him, and he's probably going to die. The difference with the 2 things that I mentioned is that the handlock deck with demons can play Molten Giants. So we're going to see from what he plays whether it looks like I'm going to have to worry about Molten Giants or not. If I see enough cards that are like out of place in Handlock, then I'm going to stop worrying about them so much. Right now, the first thing I looked at was like ways to kill his Void Caller. But I don't think killing his Void Caller is actually a good idea, because probably it's kind of helping him to do that. And I'm the aggro deck here, I want to do face damage, so I should let him just trade with the Void Caller. Now, it does run into some issues if he has like a Shadow Flame, like he attacks into the Teacher and plays Shadow Flame. That's kind of irritating. It also potentially lets him control which demon gets put into play better. For example, if his hand contains Mistress of Pain and Jaraxxus, he can play the Mistress of Pain, then attack into my piloted Shredder, and like the Jaraxxus drops down into play. But I decide that going face has too many rewards and trading has too many costs, because it basically gives the demon that comes into play haste, and I don't want to do that. He ends up having a Void Terror, which means that maybe if I'd attacked into it and killed it, then he would put the Void Terror into play instead of the Jaraxxus, which would be better for me. But I'm still really happy with my choice of attacking his face instead of trying to kill the Void Caller.
So many options.
So now he has some guys on the board, and I'm still looking good here because I actually drew card draw this game. But it's unclear exactly what I'm supposed to do about this, because I don't have a sap. If I had a sap, things would be easier. I could just sap the Jaraxxus, kill the Void Terror. As it is, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to ignore the Jaraxxus completely, and I'll still kill the Void Terror though. And the way I decide to kill the Void Terror is one of the ways that lets me play a 6/6 Van Cleef. There was another way, which was I could have played Backstab Deadly Poison Van Cleef, but I think Thalnos Backstab Van Cleef was just better. That's irritating. But I do pack a big punch for little guys, so that's... Oh, that is a great draw. Preparation is such a good card. Especially when you have Sprint, and you need to draw cards. So again, the plan here is just to keep attacking him. Ever since I saw that Void Terror, like, I've completely forgotten about Molten Giants. I would be really surprised if he was playing them, so I'm just not going to worry about them at all. And I was amused here about how my Micro Machine said, "Here I go," and then Valera said, "Here we go," and I attacked him. Seems like they're meant to be a team. Alright, so do I sprint again? The answer is no, because I've got 9 cards. Could go up to 12 cards and not have any mana left. That would be just fantastic, wouldn't it? So I can't burst him down totally. Yes. It turns out the answer is I can do 14 damage, but I can't do 18. So I can play Deadly Attack, Blade Flurry, that's 10. And then I can play Eviscerate, that's 14, but he'd still be at 4. So clearly that is not happening. So the question is, what is happening? And generally, like, the answer to that in a rogue deck is you want to get some guys on the board. And, like, drawing cards is also good, but I already have so many cards, so that's maybe not the highest priority. I probably want to play both of those SI7 agents. Because, like, it's not like they're gonna do something against his guys. I just want to play 3/3s and have to do 2 damage to his face because I'm so close to lethal, right? There's some consideration to whether I should damage either his giant or his Jaraxxus instead, but I can't think of a good reason to do that. Like, if he taunts them up, then I might be happy, but No, that's not really good reasoning there. So, like, the thing is, I have another deadly poison and I have a blade flurry, so they're just gonna die anyway, right? So here, what I think I should have done is played double Fan of Knives, bringing his highest hit point guy down to 3, and then attack face and blade flurry. And instead, I played the deadly poison and blade flurried. And like, I just forgot that I could do that, right? You know, when you have deadly poison blade flurry, everything looks like a nail, right? But I think I would rather have played the Fan of Knives and have an extra card draw from the Fan of Knives and have the deadly poison in my hand than what happened, which is that I have a dagger and I did 4 extra damage to his face. And that's only a marginal difference though, because I do think that having the dagger up this turn is very nice. So we did see, by the way, that he's playing Mountain Giants and he's playing Recombobulator. So like, maybe he does have Mountain Giants after all. But I sure wasn't thinking about that during the game. Haha. Alright, now all I'm thinking about is clearing his guys again and getting out super awesome Violent Teacher and tokens. Because I've got double Eviscerate, and I just need like a little bit more damage, and then he's dead. The other option this turn was to play Sprint, but since I have enough stuff, I'd rather just kill all his guys and make some guys my own, and force him to deal with that. And if I need to, I can sprint next turn. That'll be just fine. There's no hurry with the sprinting here. I'd rather have guys in play. It's not that helpful to draw into a Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil, for example, if you don't have something to combine it with in terms of the guy on the board. It's not nearly as good then. And I didn't have this South Sea deckhand when I started the turn. Okay, what's this? Another Shadow Flame. Algonis. So now the question is, should I go for Sprint Sap or Drake Sap? Because Sap would be really good here, right? Sap would be excellent. If I play Drake Sap, do I win? No, I don't think I do, because I only have 7 damage from hand. Oh, I do win. So Drake Sap has the advantage of winning if I actually draw the Sap. Sprint Sap has the advantage of being more likely to draw the Sap. I wonder what I'm going to do. Sprint also makes a token, by the way. I decided to go for the more likely Sap draw. Oh, I could have won the game right there. Wait, am I still supposed to win the game here? Am I going to win the game? Am I going to miss it? I don't remember.
So many options.
Oh, right. I don't win the game because I don't have the spell power from Drake. So, if I had spell power 1, then I could win right now, but I don't. I can only get him down to 1. So instead,
Here we go.
I'm not going to get him down to 1. I'm just going to get him down a little bit lower. Man, if only I'd Draked, I would have drawn Sap, it turns out. I'm still happy with what I did there. Hellfire.
My eyes.
Wow, he's going really low. There's no way he doesn't die here, right? Yeah, he's dead. I'm gonna let him know, like, right away, so he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't have to keep worrying anymore. Good games, Kuro. I'm sure you would have won the Warrior versus Rogue, by the way, so it's a very close match there. So good for me. Now I advance to the semifinals, and I'm going to play against the second winner from the other group, and Kuro has to play one more match. If he wins that match, he gets to play in the semifinals against the winner of the other group.